I'm Alex Sharfin, and this is the Momentum Podcast, made for empire builders, game changers, trailblazers, shot takers, record breakers, world makers, and creators of all kinds. Those among us who can't turn it off and don't know why anyone would want to. We challenge complacency, destroy apathy, and we are obsessed with creating momentum so we can roll over bureaucracy and make our greatest contribution. Sure, we pay attention to their rules, but only so that we can bend them, break them, then rewrite them around our own will. We don't accept our destiny, we define it. We don't understand defeat because you only lose if you stop, and we don't know how. While the rest of the world strives for average and clings desperately to the status quo, we are the minority, the few, who are willing to hallucinate there could be a better future, and instead of just daydreaming of what could be, we endure the vulnerability and exposure it takes to make it real. We are the evolutionary hunters, clearly the most important people in the world, because entrepreneurs are the only source of consistent, positive human evolution, and we always will be. Use the Force. As a kid, I really wasn't into sci-fi like a lot of the kids around me. In fact, when I was growing up, I was born in 1972. So when I was growing up, Dungeons and Dragons and Star Wars and Battlestar Galactica and Star Trek, a show that I was never able to watch for more than 5 or 10 minutes. I never really got into sci-fi because as a young child, I started reading about real people. And real people couldn't compete with science fiction for me, not even close. Like, the more that I read about real people, the more I was obsessed with figuring out the world. Like, even today, I would much prefer to watch a really fascinating documentary about just about anything than a fiction movie. But Star Wars always held this place in my imagination because this concept that Lucas came up with of the Force, this power that every person has, that is strong in some and weak in others, and is so strong in some that they can manipulate the world around them. I remember that concept being so fascinating, so captivating, so intriguing. Like, I wanted to have that. When you look at superhero powers of flying or being invisible or walking through walls, or, ironically, this year I was actually made into a superhero for ClickFunnels. For Russell's 2 Comma Club X program, he actually turned all of the instructors into superheroes, and I was Aquaman. But so even in the world of superheroes, with all the powers that they could have, that power of the Force, that power of being able to understand at a deeper level, that power to be able to determine what's going on around you, to see the next decision, to understand things better, to see what's going on with the people around you, to know who's good, who's bad, to know who you should lean into, who you shouldn't lean into. That was something I could not forget about. In fact, here's what was weird. As I started reading about wildly successful people, I started actually seeing evidence of the Force. No joke. Tesla used to curl his toes at night so that he would be more creative, invoke that creative power. Einstein knew that if he kept noise in his life really low and he was around the right type of people, that's when he was most creative and most powerful. And it wasn't just reading about people. As I continued my career, and I was able to be around wildly successful people, here's what I found. When you're around somebody who's worth 9 figures or even 10 figures, the Force is so strong within them. You can see it. And I know it sounds like I'm being facetious or joking, but I'm not. In fact, I have a friend who's a billionaire who almost every time we went to a meeting together, he would stop in front of the door, hold his hands up a few inches from the door, kind of like a Baptist during the psalm, the singing of the psalms, and feel the energy in the room. And if it felt the slightest bit off to him, he would walk away. That sounds crazy until you realize he's one of the most successful people on the planet, and that's one of the habits he uses to continue his success. So as an entrepreneur, as an entrepreneurial personality type, as an evolutionary hunter, you have access to the Force. And let me tell you what I'm talking about. This isn't fictitious. This is very real. As an evolutionary hunter, you and I both know you have unique sensitivities and perceptions that the people around you don't have. When I go out and speak to groups of people just like us, I ask the question, how many of you know the conversation that was being had when you walked into a room? How many of you can tell the conversation that's going on and the underlying feelings everyone has? How many of you know when something's going well, when something's going bad? Even the people in the room don't know. And how many of you arrive at a conclusion before most of the room even understands there's a problem? And the hands go up repeatedly because people like us have perceptive power beyond a normal human being. As an entrepreneurial personality type, as an evolutionary hunter, you do have heightened senses and awareness. And here's what I know about you, that there have been times in your life where you chose to trust your head instead of trusting your gut, where you chose to be rational instead of going after what you felt was right. And you tell me, if your life story is anything like mine, the times where you trusted your head, the rational, instead of the gut, that force, that feeling, usually it bit you in the rear, because I know it did me. And these days I get calls from my coaching clients, or I'll get a Voxer from one of my coaching clients, and they'll say, I have this decision to make, and here's what it looks like, and I'm uncomfortable with the person involved. What would you say? And I'll be honest with you, on more than one occasion, I've actually used the coaching. I want you to use the force. I want you to be aware. I want you to lower the noise before you go into that meeting and be very aware with how you're feeling and what your body's telling you and what is that sixth sense, that power you have telling you. And I will actually tell my clients to use the force to make a decision. And you know what they always say back? Thank you. Because for the first time, somebody else has acknowledged that they can, that they have that feeling, that it's real, that intuition, that strength, that feeling, that power, that perception, that adaptability is there and it's real. And every one of us who is an evolutionary hunter, every one of us that has the entrepreneurial personality type has the opportunity to develop our strength in the force. We have the opportunity to develop and to make stronger our perceptions, our ability to be intuitive, our ability to see what's going on in the world around us. And there are all kinds of ways you can do this, but I can give you the most consistent ones. You can, one, lower the pressure and noise in your life. Relentlessly. I say this all the time. I said it on the podcast yesterday, because when we lower the pressure and noise in our lives, here's the exchange. We give up what we don't need. We increase our access to the force. Wayne Dyer called it infinite intelligence. It's been called so many things throughout time and space that as you lower pressure and noise, you have access to more. You can see more. You can feel more. You can do more. And we know that this is how it works. Because the first thing that goes out the window when we get into fight or flight is intuition. The first thing that goes out the window when we get into that overwhelm mode is our ability to perceive, our ability to feel, our ability to see. We can react, but we no longer are tapped in to that infinite knowledge. We're no longer tapped into that source. When you lower pressure and noise, you also can be very intentional about using your perceptions at a higher level. When you're making a decision, slow down and feel how it feels in your body. When you're deciding to work with someone or talk to someone, let your senses tell you whether you should or you shouldn't. These days, I do very intimate coaching and consulting with people. And before I will work with any client, I get on the call with them because I want to see how my body reacts. I want to see inherently just what's there. I want to see what happens before they say anything. Do I feel good about them? Do I feel positive towards them? Do I want to spend more time with them? Do I want to help them? Because if those feelings are there, then I know that we will have a connection and I can help that person. But if for any reason I get on that first call and it's just not there, it's flat, I don't feel a connection, I don't want to work with them, they say something that makes me feel like they probably aren't part of our culture, I will talk them out of working with us. Because for me, I know that if I have that connection, that intuition, I can help somebody go forward like crazy. I can help them tap into that universal force because I care to see them do it. But if I take on the wrong client, if I take on somebody who makes me feel anxious or frustrated or upset or confused or any of those things, my ability to use that same power goes down considerably. So I defend it wherever I can. See, I have developed my ability to be intuitive. I've developed my ability to believe in what my gut is telling me. I've developed my ability to make decisions based on everything, not just one thing, how I'm feeling. I make decisions based on how I'm feeling, the circumstances, what input I've gotten. But more often than not, I'll be honest with you, I just go back to using the force. I slow down, take a few breaths, and I ask myself, what decision feels right? What decision feels like it's going to move me forward? What decision is calling me the strongest? What decision is telling me that it is the right one? And that's exactly how I do it. And one of the places that you can use this the most is with human beings. See, as entrepreneurs, as entrepreneurial personality types, as an evolutionary hunter, you have the responsibility to build your tribe. That tribe of people around you that are going to help you create your greatest contribution on this earth. The tribe of people around you who are going to join you in making your greatest outcomes. And where the force is strongest is between each other. When I'm making people decisions, it is almost 100% exclusively how I feel about that person. Sure, I'll look at their background and what they're capable of and what they've done before, and for some proof of their capability to do what we want them to do. But for me, it's how do I feel about that individual? How do they make me feel? What do they do to my energy? How do they affect me? And then we make the decision around the person. So for you as an evolutionary hunter, I want you to be aware of something. I want you to give the possibility that the decisions you have to make, you inherently have the wisdom to make. And the outcomes you create in the world, you can move towards those by feeling what is the best decision. And if you're willing to lower the noise in your life and ask people for help and allow your strengths and abilities to come out and drive towards your greatest contribution with clarity, the force will get even stronger in you. I know, because I hang out with some of the most successful people in the world, and I'm consistently blown away at how they see the opportunity no one else sees, at how they see the connection no one else can see to make, at how they see the solution that is so obvious to them, but no one else can see it until they point it out, and then the entire world accepts it. That is operating at an entirely different level, and that is using the force, and you can too. If you haven't yet, check out billionairecode.com. Answer a few questions for my team, and we will get you a full summary of where you are in the Billionaire Code, what you need next to get to the next level of growth, and we'll send you a complete summary of the full path of success for an entrepreneur. Because if you're ready to create more momentum than you ever thought possible, if you're ready to understand exactly where you need to be right now and focus on only that, and if you're ready to understand what you should be doing on a daily basis to move yourself forward, go to billionairecode.com. Let us share that information with you and get you on the road to momentum. And until then, for the next big decision you have to make it easy. Use the force.